hundreds of Hamas terrorists, very well equipped and armed. Israel will need to respond in a different way that was not seen until today, in a very harsh way. Well, there was no Israeli provocation whatsoever. This is very tightly connected with Iranian directive. Iran has been pouring millions into the areas of Palestinians, whether it's in the West Bank, whether it's in Gaza. I think it's a bit more than attack. 6:30 in the morning, Shabbat, holiday, everyone is sleeping, and we were woken up to the sound of explosions. We are now 6 hours into this war, and I call it a war and not an attack because more than 3,000 rockets have been fired at Israeli communities and cities and homes. But also, right now as we are speaking, there are 10 Israeli communities in which physically there are Hamas terrorists. Actually, Hamas caused this escalation by infiltrating Israel from the air with paragliders, from the sea with boats, and by foot and by cars, by vehicles from the land. My estimation is that there were hundreds of Hamas terrorists, very well equipped and armed, Iranian funding, by the way, who infiltrated Israel. Currently, I can say that there are more than 22 Israelis who were murdered as a result of this war. And in addition to that, there are many hundreds who are hospitalized right now across Israel. The Israeli blood bank is asking for blood donations right now, and a special situation has been called all across the country. The school has been canceled tomorrow, and overall 5.5 million Israelis are either in and out in shelters or very close to shelters. And we have been asked to stay indoors and remain close to security and safety areas. First of all, you mentioned rightly so that Hamas is the terror organization responsible for what we have been witnessing here in the last couple of hours. And by the way, as we're talking, there's still rocket attacks. And I'm sitting very close to my shelter here at home. Now, Hamas will be responsible, but unfortunately, Hamas is controlling Gaza, and unfortunately, the people of Gaza will have to suffer the consequences of Hamas. Now, Israel played a very restrained role since Hamas came into power in 2007. I think that following this very, very heinous attack today, which is far from being over, and Israel is entering gradually a status of war. Here, strategically and from an operational perspective, Israel will need to respond in a different way that was not seen until today, in a very harsh way. And following the latest statements from Prime Minister Netanyahu and from the military and from the police here, this is the direction we are heading towards. Days will tell, but I think we are heading into a very, very tough couple of days ahead of us, even more. Well, there was no Israeli provocation whatsoever. So this was an independent initiative. I have a very strong feeling that this is very tightly connected with Iranian directive. As you know, Iran has been pouring millions into the areas of Palestinians, whether it's in the West Bank, whether it's in Gaza, trying to create unrest in this entire region. Now, I think that some kind of briefings to understand what went wrong, whether it's intelligence, whether it's operational, I think it's premature for that. First, we are still in a situation of defense. So the army and the other security apparatus are not stopping now and creating some sort of analysis of the situation because we are still very deeply in the beginning of this war. So these kind of lessons learned will have to wait until the end of this war. First of all, I do see a lot of very warm words of support from the international community. I see it from the US, I see it from the EU, and I see it really from friends all across the world. And I think that looking at the content of the messaging, it is very clear today to the world. Even those countries who still did not designate Hamas as a terror entity, today they understand what is Hamas. And the fact that Hamas terrorists are entering houses in Israeli communities and trying to assassinate women and children and elderly, and this is the most inhumane, lowest level thing that a person could do on earth, then I think the real face of this terror organization, which for us in Israel has been very clear and knowing for many, many years, I think that has been exposed today to the world. I do expect the international community to continue its support while Israel initiates a wide retaliation, because we have no choice at this point but to protect ourselves and to make sure the deterrence is back and there is no repetition of something even in the slightest similar to what we have witnessed and are still witnessing today. It's a day of prayer for us. People woke up in the morning and went to synagogues, those who are observant. And the municipality where I live asked all of them to evacuate the synagogues and return immediately to their homes due to the current situation. There are currently blood donations in my neighborhood because hospitals are reporting of blood shortage, and everybody is locked in their homes. The streets are empty, the roads are empty. There are heightened security in our area, but you can't hear a bird outside. It's really devastating. Everybody is close to the media. We have apps who alert us when we need to go into shelters. All the public shelters in the city have been opened, like many other cities here in the area. I can tell you that I even received the WhatsApp from the educational advisor in my daughter's high school, again, providing the parents with her mobile number in case there's some emotional difficulties with the children. So basically, everybody's very, very tense, locked at home, and also people are looking for their children. One of the issues is that there was a big party yesterday, like a nature party outside in one of the forests very close to Gaza. And a group of armed Hamas militants entered that area and began firing towards the kids that were there. I'm talking about people who are around age 20, 22, and there's still a lot of missing people. Some of them are from my city. So uncertainty, a lot of nervous kind of feeling, and also looking for relatives.